Welcome, everybody, to the Friends of the Outdoors podcast. This is Don Martin, your host, and to my left today is a really good friend of mine, our very special guest for this week. Known him for a long time, an outdoor enthusiast through and through.
Right.
And he is the owner of Lilikoi Resort in Oxford, Wisconsin, and he agreed to be our guest today on the podcast and broadcast. So thanks for joining us, bro.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Don.
Appreciate it, man. So before we get started in, some questions about the resort and what you guys do up there, just tell us a little background on yourself in terms of your outdoor experience. First of all, where were you born and raised?
Born Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Okay.
Raised throughout this area, and then 2 hours away from here, near Wisconsin Dells area.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone knows the Wisconsin Dells area because of the water parks.
Yep.
Well, we're about a half hour northeast of there.
Okay.
We keep, throughout the process of owning this land and resort, we keep adding more to it.
Okay.
So it's one step at a time. I have a vision, but I'm sure you're going to ask me that later in this seminar.
Mm-hmm.
Presentation.
Yeah, that's good. So for you, being that the amount of time you've been outdoors, how long have you been doing things in outdoors, fishing, hunting, things like that? How long have you been?
Yeah, my father never took me hunting. I worked at a place where a gentleman took me out hunting for the first time, taught me the ropes, and after I got my first deer, I was hooked.
Sure. So you started in hunting.
Hunting.
So
yes.
I presume hunting is like your outdoor activity of choice.
And not just regular hunting, bow hunting.
Okay.
I'll gun hunt, but if I had a choice,
Mm-hmm.
it's picking up the bow and going out to the woods.
What is it about bow hunting that you love most? Like what's the draw for you in bow hunting?
The patience,
Mm-hmm.
getting up and close with the animal,
Up close and personal. Yeah.
being able to see, watch, feel how these animals move, behave, and how they act in the wild.
Sure. I think anybody can gun hunt. Nothing against gun hunting. It's definitely a heritage in of itself. But
Right.
but to be a bow hunter, you have to. There's a lot more that you have to learn in terms of the habits and the,
Yes,
and what the game do. Yeah, there's a lot.
There's a challenge to it.
Yeah,
There's a
for sure.
challenge to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what drives me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the people that don't like taking animals, as in hunting, bow hunting, here's what I say to them. Number one, I will take an animal each year
Mm-hmm.
and donate it for food for family.
Sure.
Okay, so that's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Number two is, in our location, the population, there's too many.
That's right.
So the car accidents and the people that are getting hurt,
Mm-hmm.
it happens all the time.
Yeah.
So when someone says, hey, you really go shoot an animal? Well, you know what? One, I eat the animal myself. My daughter loves the jerky and all the things we make from it.
Yep.
It feeds our family, right? And that's what our grandfathers did.
Yeah.
But more importantly, I'll say, you know what? I get up at 5 a.m. in the cold, go out to the woods for my country because I'm saving people's lives.
Yeah, for sure.
Car accidents are happening every day from deer,
Yeah.
especially in Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
And if
One of the biggest deer states in the country.
if we don't take care of it,
Yeah.
somebody else will, which is the DNR, which is going to force
Right.
things to happen.
Yeah.
Like
sharpshooters and stuff. One of the
yeah.
most powerful things, and what people need to realize, now that we got to that discussion, is a true conservationist is someone who contributes to the population control of an animal because they care about that species and they don't want it to become too overpopulated, because a lot of disease comes from that as well. It's not just saving humans, but it's also saving the species because of the disease that comes from overpopulation. Unless there's not as many predators of those species as there once were,
Yep.
and they're a prey animal. They're intended and they're here to be consumed,
Correct.
So really cool. So obviously you had no family members that
Hunted.
hunted. You had
Correct.
a friend. And how did it come up? Like I want to hear that story. Like how did he bring up to you, hey, I want to take you hunting? Because that's what this podcast is all about, and this broadcast is finding out kind of how people were introduced to the heritage of the outdoors, and then hopefully people will go out and share that with other people.
Yeah, I wish I could help you with that, but it was close to 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And I remember going through the process of driving up north, going through all the steps he told me to do, practice, all
Right.
this, taught me all that.
What made him bring it up to you? Do you remember?
I don't remember that part.
Sure.
I just know that he had a family farm
Mm-hmm.
in Wisconsin.
Sure.
And he would go there.
Right.
So his whole family hunted. And when I became friends with him at work, I can't remember or recall, but something, maybe he would go and come back and tell me the story.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, that would be neat to do.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember a time where we went up there and I helped them build their lodge.
Okay.
So
you had a little taste of it.
So I got to see the property,
Sure.
and I kind of became friends. And one thing led to another. He taught me the ropes. We went out, and in my first year, I got my first deer.
That's awesome. What did you get? What was your first deer?
The first deer would be a nub buck,
Okay.
which was nice as I was thinking 19, 18 years old.
Sure. Hey, I believe every deer is a trophy in my book. You know.
Yes.
Yeah.
They all taste good.
Yeah, they all taste good. And it's just the being blessed to be able to get a shot and ethically harvest an animal. It's a really cool thing. So that was your first experience.
That was
then?
my first experience.
Was he
but
with
then-
you? Did he take you out? Or
No,
did
he
you
taught me everything.
Right.
The good news was it was once I've learned the process, step A to Z. At that time I thought it was good.
Sure.
But today I look at it and the stuff you need to know.
Yeah.
Now I didn't know what I was doing.
Right. Yeah. It's amazing
But-
how much you learn.
But when I shot a spike buck, and I to this day I have it hung at my bar in my residence, and I remember that really being my first deer because it was my first buck.
Yeah.
When you get your first buck, that's even more. I don't know. There's something about
What town was that in?
that was in
like,
Westfield, Oxford, Wisconsin.
Like no, where you got that first deer was in Westfield.
Yes,
Okay,
at a resort. So that was
Oh, okay.
30 years ago.
Wow. 30 years. That means you were what, 5?
I'm
Not quite.
I'm almost 50 years old here.
48.
48.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've had many guys up there hunting, some shooting deer in the eyes.
Yeah.
That part she'll probably cut out. I'm just right. She'll cut that part out.
That was me. That's
Yeah,
all right.
she'll cut that
It's
out.
Hey, things happen.
So yeah.
Last day with a $160 license. You
Yep.
got to do what you got to do sometimes.
Right.
The only opportunity is going to.
Basically, it was what's that new movie? Bird Box.
Yeah.
Yeah, where you just put the blindfold on and let them
Pull
go.
the trigger sheet.
Okay.
Not quite. We can delete that. But anyway. So anyway, that's cool. So that was it. So he just put you up in a stand.
For
Did he set you up? Did you? So your first hunt was on the ground? Was in the stand? What
yeah,
was
it was on the ground.
Okay. What did you? What was it? Firearm?
No, with a bow.
It was a bow.
It was a bow.
Very cool. How long did you practice before you went out hunting on your first? So I can see it because you actually you shot it in the neck.
That can get deleted too.
We're gonna have a lot of good fun stuff for the what do they call it? The editor's cuts.
Yeah, the follies.
Yeah,
or the
follies,
flubs.
follies. Yeah, the flubs and follies. So, anyway, all right. So we're done with the experience. All right. So today, so obviously, Daryl, you've been hunting for over 30 years. You've been outdoor enthusiast for 30 years. You've taken people out, but for you, so what is your absolute favorite outdoor activity today? At 48 years old, you have how old's your daughter now?
6.
So you're taking her out, to kind of get some experiences with the outdoors. What's your favorite activity to do today? Is it still bow hunting?
It is bow hunting.
Okay.
But more than bow hunting now, instead of me shooting the deer, I've shot over 100 deer now.
Sure.
So what is more the experience and the enjoyment of the outdoors the most for me
Yeah.
is 2 things. One, the process of putting the food plots in, the ponds, the apple orchard, where to place them, how to place them, where to put the tree stands, the blind, make a mock scrape,
Right.
or make a rub. That challenge and trying to be a deer, mimic a deer, and getting them to do what you want them to do is now become memorable to me and an experience for me that I enjoy.
Yeah.
But the number one thing is when I can take kids that never shot a deer before.
Sure.
And I can put them in a place to shoot that deer
Yeah.
and give them that opportunity.
And that's why I
or a disabled child or a vet. But right now I have, it's the dads and the kids that I cherish when I can put them out there, and all the hard work I've done at the resort with the many things that we have, to see the smiles. I had a young 8-year-old boy. His dad and grandpa came out and did a squirrel hunt, and they went out for the morning, took lunch, came back for the afternoon. They must have got 16 squirrels, right? All different species.
Sure.
And the coolest thing was the 8-year-old boy. I said, if you shoot one of those red squirrels, pine squirrels, the ones that mean and the
fast ones.
The fast ones. I'm like, I'm going to give you $5 for every one of those you shoot.
Right.
And he was all about it. He went out and got it. And when he came back and hung it up like this, it was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, that's what it. And by the way, when it's the first time, they never experienced anything like it. It's you can't understand it until you do it or until you see it done.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
That feeling, you have to be in the moment.
You have to.
You have to.
Yeah.
And who knows how long Grandpa or Dad is even going to be around.
That's right.
And when you can put that 3 generation together to enjoy the outdoors like that, that is going to be memorable for the rest of their lives.
Well, and there's no distractions. There's no cell phones.
No cell phones.
There's no distractions. So you have to be in the moment, enjoying each other's company, out with it's you and nature. And in this day and age, it's so unique to be able to have that experience. I think it's head and shoulders above almost any other thing you can do. Especially with with the children or their parents, because it just doesn't happen as much anymore, those type of things. So really, really cool. So your most memorable experience ever in the outdoors, what was it? The thing that
okay, the number one thing. Yeah. There's a lot of them, but the number one thing is when I was in my number one stand, Buckmaster 1.
Yep. So you name all your stands.
All stands are named. All the cameras are named.
So they're not like boats. They're not named after women. They're just named.
Yeah, there's
named.
There's named.
Like all boats are named after. They're like women's names, but yours are like, they're all manly names. Buckmaster 1, Buckmaster 2.
Yeah,
I know Buckmaster 2.
Yep.
I've been in Buckmaster 2 actually.
Yeah, we had the pleasure to have you out. Enjoy the outdoors with us.
So much fun.
We've many more things have been added now to the resort.
I know.
So wait till you come back.
Can't wait. We'll bring some of with Friends of the Outdoors.
Yeah, but there's ice fishing. There's summer fishing. I got kayaks there. Yeah. We got the land.
With the foundation, Friends of the Outdoors Foundation, we'll definitely do a trip and bring some of our clients and people that we help up.
And for the fun stuff that we can do on the outside of that, there's bocce ball, horseshoes, and frisbee golf, 9-hole frisbee golf through the property.
Nice.
Now sometimes people will say, you're really going to have frisbee golf through your hunting land?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, when you see this land, how it's set up, with the little cabins around, with the way it is laid out, we don't have a problem with it because you can still hunt.
Right.
And you can still play.
Yeah.
And you can...
Most of the time, Frisbee golf will be in the warmer climates versus hunting season anyway, most of the time, I probably think, right?
And you can disconnect to reconnect.
Right. I like that.
Basically...
Disconnect to reconnect.
Right. Get rid of the cell phones. Yeah. We've lost all that.
Yeah.
So now, to be able to have that outdoors
brings it back. It's a core value that I think is only
cleanses the soul. Let me tell you,
it really does. No doubt about it. So what was that? Most memorable experience?
Yeah.
What was it?
I'm building it up.
Come on, build it up.
Here, the number one in Buckmaster 1. Okay, and it must have been a hot dough in the area.
The stand, Buckmaster 1.
Buckmaster 1 stand.
Yep.
I'm sitting in that stand on that Sunday of opening weekend.
So you do know this is going to make everybody watching that comes ask to be sat in Buckmaster 1 because of this stand. Probably. They're all great stands. I've been in a lot of them. Go ahead.
When I was sitting there on the second day, opening weekend, and there was a hot dough in the area, and I had a bunch of little bucks, 4-pointers, 6-pointers, and they were hustling this dough. But I had a big one come in, and he was far enough away where I couldn't see how big, but big. And he would chase those deer out of there.
Yeah.
It's dusk. Sorry, it's in the morning of dawn, and it's just coming up, and you can see them. And I knew he was big, and he's pushing the other bucks out of the way, right? And he's getting ready to leave, and I took a shot, right?
Shotgun or gun or
this is a 30-06 rifle.
Okay, cool.
I went to check for blood. Right where I shot, where it was standing, there's blood. Now I know what I now know, knowing that was redder blood, dark red blood. Told me it was liver. But how the shot was, it went liver, lungs, into the front front cavity. And when I followed the blood trail, just 30 yards, I was in awe. My mouth opened up, my jaw dropped, and I was in awe. 23 and a half inside spread.
That's that big old 8-pointer.
Yeah,
that one they have upstairs. That thing was a monster. I never forget what you called. You actually called me, sent me 9-point. You sent me a picture of it. Unbelievable.
And it was so big for me. I didn't know I had deer like that on my land. I mean, to get, you're talking that wide. I was like, oh my God.
And you had that one. And you had that one measured. Officially
measured, mounted, full body mount. I have over 50 animals mounted. My wife thinks I'm crazy, but it's my hobby, it's my thing. And as I have other cabins up at the resort, we're going to put these animals in each of the cabins.
Absolutely.
So there's a vision to the madness.
That deer, what did that score?
163.
And you have bigger ones on there. I saw pictures.
Yeah, but
so that's world class.
It's when I walked up to this deer. I was in awe.
Yeah, you didn't know.
I did not know it was that big.
Yeah, sure.
It was a great feeling. And then I got to experience that with my father because we had walkie-talkies at the time. Today you can do cell phones.
Sure.
So all I kept saying is, Dad, get over here.
Yeah.
Do you want to know how big it is? I mean, it was really big.
Yeah.
I was excited.
Yeah, for sure.
That was my most memorable
awesome.
experience in the outdoors.
That's super cool. Really, really. So for you, and obviously you can have tons more. We had a lot of fun when I came up with you several times. And
a couple times I couldn't find you. You were in camo. I didn't see you.
I was in camo. I was hidden in the woods. But yeah, we had some great times, and it was cool. And the property is beautiful, and the deer, the quality of deer is unbelievable. But we just had a great time just connecting, and that's one of the most important values of participating in outdoors is the connection. It just doesn't happen in today's day and age. For you,
everything's so fast.
Right. Right. And it's so important, I think, for children and adults to have that opportunity to connect with people and really listen and pay attention and not have the distractions of the modern world, because there's values within that. So for you, you said earlier you'd love to help and take kids and their parents and stuff like that. So what are some of the things that you do to kind of expand that heritage, to introduce other people to the outdoors, obviously bringing people up, but what are some of the things that you do to kind of maybe introduce it to people or intrigue them to want to either go fishing or hunting or whatever it might be?
Yeah.
How do you bring it up?
I'm big into barter. And what I mean by that is if I need a duck or a goose or a crow mounted, I have a taxidermist that does that.
Okay.
But in return, he has a son.
Right.
That's where the squirrel hunting came up.
Sure.
They came up. I mentioned to him, hey, can you do this crow for me? Mount this crow for my office? In return, why don't you bring your son and your dad up for a squirrel hunt? So we bartered that way a lot. And it's good for them. It's good for me.
Sure.
It's a win-win all the way around. And everybody's happy. So I do that with turkey hunting.
Man, the first time I was in a stand at your place, I'll never forget, I probably had 50 turkeys out in the field in front of me. I was like, oh my goodness. It was an archery season, and then they went down the ravine that you have.
And our property is definitely big ravines and hollers.
That was cool. That was really, really cool. So, so taking people hunting, fishing, things like that, just and barter is something that you've done.
I've done that a lot with people to make it a win-win. That's how I get people to look at the experience. Yeah,
and barter's trade. It's and that's very core. It's a lot about heritage too. It's hey, what do you have to offer? What I have?
Back in the old days.
That's all.
Here's a fur. You know, I need this. And then it's
Tell us some life lessons from outdoor experience that you've had. Some of the life lessons that can be transferred from hunting into other aspects of life. Some lessons that people learn in outdoors.
Patience for sure.
Without a doubt. Mm-hmm.
You know, it's patience,
which we're losing in our society today.
Yes,
very important to learn.
Listening, and when you can use all those skills that you have, and throughout the day you take it for granted. But when you're in the woods, you need to see, you need to listen, you know, you need to feel.
So it makes you
feel the outdoors.
Grateful for the things that you absolutely need to be successful anywhere in the outdoors.
Yeah, it's
the value of life. I think is another one that a lot of people, you know, it's like, hey, like if you're an outdoorsman, you're a true conservationist. You know, you're gonna ethically take the proper shots. It's not like the Wild Wild West. You're not just taking bet. You're going to make sure you get a good, clean, you know, harvest shot. And truth be told, that's better and more ethical than the way the mass farmers are handling their animals, for sure. You know.
Yeah. I hear you.
Yeah. So anyway, well, listen. How can everybody get in touch with you? Thanks for being a guest today, by the way. I appreciate you, man. I'm looking forward to come back up. And I want to catch some of them northern pike that I saw pictures of this year. But how can people get in touch with you if they want to learn more about Lilikoi Resort or maybe check you out?
Well, first thing I would do is when you get to the end of this video, the phone number, the address, the brochure will be shown.
Cool. So do you have a website?
Website. Lilikoi Resort. That's Lilikoi Resort.com.
Yeah. And the only reason why I ask you that is because this will be on video and podcast. There ain't no video there, baby. Anyway, was he a great guest? Thanks for being with us. We appreciate it. This is a Missouri hog, by the way. But appreciate you, man. Thanks for your time. Have a great day.
See you in the outdoors.